Oxlo.ai launched at #1 on Product Hunt today, with a sentence that sounds boring until you have paid an AI bill. Scale across AI models without scaling your bill. That is the kind of promise solo builders notice immediately, because the hardest part of using frontier models is not always the model. Sometimes it is the accounting anxiety. You start with one prompt, then you add long context, retries, a reasoning model, embeddings, image generation, maybe a second provider, because the first one is weird on Tuesdays. Suddenly, the prototype has a finance department, and unfortunately, that department is you at midnight with a spreadsheet. The useful thing about Oxlo is not that it gives you another model menu. We already have too many menus. The useful thing is predictability. Their Product Hunt page says you get access to more than 35 frontier and open models through one API, including DeepSeek, Kimi, GLM, Qwen, Llama, and Mistral. Their own pricing page frames the real difference as request-based pricing instead of token math. Free gets 60 requests a day. Pro is $80 a month for 1,000 requests a day. And Premium is $350 a month for 5,000 requests a day. The pitch is that a long prompt costs the same as a short one. That is not automatically cheaper for every workload. If you are sending tiny prompts to a cheap model, token pricing can still win. This is where a lot of AI infrastructure marketing gets slippery, and I do not love slippery. But if your work is long context, research-heavy, or agentic, predictable request pricing changes the shape of the decision. You stop asking, how many tokens will this accidentally burn? You start asking, is this request worth 1 unit of my daily allowance? That is a much calmer question. Through the introvert lens, this replaces a small team of annoying conversations. The pricing conversation, the model comparison conversation, the privacy conversation, the should we switch providers conversation. A quiet builder does not want to spend 3 days collecting opinions about whether Kimi is better than Qwen for a specific document workflow. They want to run the same task across models, compare the answers, pick the one that works, and get back to the thing they were actually building. There is also a trust angle. Oxlo says it never trains on your data, and it positions itself around cost clarity without complexity. That matters because the most valuable solo workflows usually contain messy private context. Customer notes, drafts, transcripts, research, product plans, weird, half-formed strategy documents with file names you would rather not explain. The model layer should not make that feel like feeding your diary into a slot machine. My test for a tool like this is simple. Could it make a solo project feel less fragile? For Oxlo, the answer is probably yes. If your project already depends on multiple AI models, long prompts, or unpredictable reasoning costs, I would test it with 3 workflows: a long document analysis task, a coding review task, and a customer support draft task. Run each across a small, medium, and large model. Track 3 things: answer quality, latency, and whether the pricing model makes you more willing to use the tool regularly. The last one is underrated. A tool you are scared to run is not really part of your workflow. The caution is that abstraction always hides trade-offs. A single API is convenient, but you still need to understand which model is good at which job. Request limits are calmer than token limits, but they are still limits. And if you are building production software, you should test failure modes, latency, support, and data handling before you route everything through one provider. Calm does not mean careless. So my verdict is, worth testing for solo builders who are moving from toy prompts to actual products. Not because Oxlo magically solves AI infrastructure, because it attacks one of the least glamorous blockers: cost uncertainty. And for people building alone, uncertainty is expensive. It creates hesitation. It creates tabs. It creates the very specific behavior of opening the pricing page 12 times and learning nothing new. AI keeps promising bigger models, louder demos, and more dramatic agents. Fine. But the tools that actually change solo work are often quieter. They remove one recurring anxiety. They make the next experiment feel safe enough to try. Oxlo is interesting for that reason. It turns model choice from a budget panic into a design decision. And honestly, that may be the most introvert-friendly infrastructure feature of the week. Thanks for watching. Explore more at AI for Introverts.